Story Bugs!
Hello and welcome to Storytime. I'm really glad you're here. We are going to read the next chapter of Bambi, and this is adapted by the film by Joan Ryder, illustrated by David Pacheco and Jesse Clay. We are on chapter 5 today. So I will show you this picture before we start. Chapter 5. As summer turned to fall, Bambi saw his world changing more and more every day. The grasses in the meadow grew tall and turned brown. Throughout the forest, the leaves on the trees, once bright green, turned red and gold and orange. Bambi looked at the tall trees decorated in brilliant fall colors. Unlike the warm days of summer, fall days were cool and the nights chilly. Many animals were leaving the forest and moving to warmer places. Each day, Bambi watched another flock of birds leave their homes in the woods and fly south. But Bambi and the other deer stayed behind. They looked together for fallen acorns and nuts to eat, and watched as the leaves began to fall from the trees. The delicate leaves drifted and swirled in the cool winds and landed everywhere. Wherever Bambi walked in the woods, bright, colorful leaves covered the ground. As he walked by the stream, leaves danced down around him, landing and floating on the water. Why were the leaves falling, he wondered. Looking up, Bambi could now see sky peeking through the once bushy treetops. Each day he saw more bare trees and bushes. Even his thicket had changed. All the tiny leaves from the bushes had fallen to the ground. Bare twigs surrounded him and his mother as they slept. In the fall, Bambi learned trees lose their leaves. Birds fly away, and life starts to change in the woods. One morning, Bambi woke up early. It was unusually bright outside his thicket. The light made him blink and blink. He crept out and looked at the woods. His world had changed again. Where were the bare trees, Bambi wondered? Where was the dark ground covered with leaves? Everything was hidden in a coat of white. He couldn't stop blinking at the bright white world all around him. "Mother, look!" he cried excitedly. "What's all that white stuff?" Waking up, his mother looked out too. "Why, it's snow," she said gently, remembering fondly her first glimpse of snow. "Snow?" asked Bambi. "Yes," explained his mother. "Winter has come." Bambi sniffed the snow and tested it with one hoof. He sank into the soft snow. When he pulled his hoof out, it left a hole. This was certainly amazing, he thought. He walked through the snow, looking back at his own footprints. It was fun to step and make more and more prints in the snow. Bambi was so busy making footprints, he didn't look where he was going. Whoosh! Bambi sank into a big hole that had been covered by snow. The cold, wet snow tickled him and chilled him. Brrr! Snow was tricky and full of surprises, too. He thought Bambi was too curious to let a little cold snow frighten him. He got up and began exploring the snowy woods. All around him, Bambi heard the bell-like sounds of icicles touching and the soft whooshing sounds of snow falling from the trees. He looked up at the snow that covered the branches above him. Plop! Some of that snow was falling very close to him. Bambi leapt away. It seemed as if the snow were playing a game with Bambi, trying to catch him and get him wet. He tried to outguess the snow and stay dry, but it wasn't easy. Whoosh, plop! A chunk of soft snow landed right on top of Bambi. He shook and shook himself free. This was a funny game that Winter was playing today. Bambi wasn't the only young animal playing in the snow for the first time. Thumper had discovered snow too, and he was having lots of fun. "Look, Bambi," Thumper called. "Watch what I can do." The lively rabbit ran and ran down a snowbank. He leapt into the air and slid on his furry bottom across the icy pond. "Whee!" the rabbit called. The frozen pond was smooth and hard, and Thumper glided across the icy surface. This was fun. Amazed, Bambi watched his friend. How could Thumper do that? He wondered. What happened to the pond? Thumper grinned at Bambi. "Come on, it's all right," he tried to explain. "Look," said the rabbit, thumping his foot on the hard ice. "The water's stiff." Bambi couldn't wait to try sliding and skating on the pond too, and he ran down a snowy slope as fast as he could. He leapt into the air just as Thumper had done. "Yippee!" he called, and he landed on the ice. But his legs were very long and his hooves very small. They slipped out from under him and he fell on the ice, spinning and spinning on his tummy. Skating looked different when Thumper did it. Thumper skated up to his friend and said, "Some fun, huh, Bambi?" Bambi nodded yes, but he wasn't sure yet. "Come on, get up," said Thumper, "like this." The little rabbit ran on the ice and skated all around on his big flat feet. Bambi could see it was easy to skate if you had the right feet. The young fawn tried to get up, but it was a lot harder to walk on the ice than on the ground. His hooves slipped out from under him, and he fell again. "No, no, no," cried Thumper, laughing. The little rabbit tried to help his friend get up. He pushed and pulled and tugged at Bambi's legs. "A little wobbly, aren't ya?" said Thumper, but he didn't stop trying to help. Finally, Bambi stood up and Thumper gave him a big push. The fawn started to glide, but his hind legs twisted underneath him, and he sat down hard on the ice. "You have to watch both ends at the same time," Thumper said, looking at Bambi's front and hind legs. Thumper helped him unwind his legs and get up, and then he gave Bambi another big push. Whee! Bambi slid across the ice fast, very fast. It was a little scary for him to move so swiftly, but Thumper ran in front of him, cheering him on. When Bambi slipped, he and Thumper sailed along the pond together. "Wow!" cried Thumper, enjoying the ride. But Bambi didn't know how to stop, so they crashed into a soft snowbank. The two friends weren't hurt at all, but they were very wet. Thumper quickly popped up and shook the snow from his long ears. He heard something, and the curious rabbit hopped up to the opening of a small den. Someone inside was snoring very loudly. It was Flower. The tiny skunk was fast asleep. The curious rabbit grinned and began thumping very loudly. "Wake up! Wake up!" Thumper called. "Wake up, Flower!" called Bambi, smiling too. The sleeping skunk heard his friends and opened his eyes. Is it spring yet? Flower asked them drowsily. No, said Bambi. Winter's just starting. What are you doing? Hibernating? Thumper asked. Said Flower, rubbing his tired eyes and scratching his furry legs. Why do you want to do that? Asked Bambi. He couldn't imagine anyone sleeping when there was snow to enjoy everywhere. The little skunk giggled shyly. All us flowers sleep in the winter. It was very hard for a very sleepy skunk to stay awake, even to talk with his friends. Soon Flower curled up, wrapped his long, warm tail around himself. Well, he said, closing his eyes, good night. And then he fell asleep once more, and his two friends left him to dream and rest until spring. Together, Bambi and Thumper went off to play their new winter games. And that's for chapter 5. I wonder what they're going to do next chapter. That was a fun one. We're just getting out of winter, so it's kind of, we're tired of the snow, But it's always fun when you see it for the first time. Thank you guys for joining me, and I hope you come back for chapter 6. If you guys enjoyed reading that story, would you please click subscribe down below? We read new stories just like this one every day, and we would love to let you know when there's a new story to listen to.